What you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy Cat Sam, and yes, we are back again today with another video. Today's video, I'm going to be doing my early Premier League 2022-2023 table predictions. Yes, it might be very early to call, but a lot of you have been asking my early thoughts and what are my gut feelings. So I thought, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Let's roll that intro. So obviously we're going to have to start off with 20th place, and 20th for me will be AFC Bournemouth. Yes, I understand they have just got promoted. Second place in the Championship, a very solid season, but it just wasn't good enough for me. Really, I do think the Championship last season was one of the poorest it has been in quite a long time, and Bournemouth had chances to get to solidify themselves as the top two throughout the season, and their form at points was diabolical. They'd go 7-8 games without a win, and I do worry for that. Not only that, they've got quite a young squad when you look at them, inexperienced. A lot of players haven't been in the Premier League. Can they make the step up? I think they'll be able to compete, but personally, I don't think they'll have enough firepower. And not only that, Scott Parker, last time he was in the Premier League, he wasn't good enough and he didn't make the right decisions. And I do think that will be the downfall of Bournemouth. And I do finish Bournemouth, I'm sorry, 20th place in the league for me. 19th place now, one of the other yo-yo sides who came up from the league. It will be Fulham, in my opinion, yes. And I feel really bad because I know Fulham had such a great season. Obviously, Mitrovic setting the world alight in the Championship, breaking records left, right and centre, scoring goals for fun. It was as if he was playing against kids at points. He was bullying defenders left, right and centre. But the question mark with Mitrovic is always the same thing. He simply cannot do it in the Premier League, and I don't think he will do this season either. And I do think the fact that they rely on him for goals, and not only that, Carvalho obviously going to Liverpool, they're going to lose a bit of their creativity spark. I do worry for them where their goals are going to come from. And Marco Silva, I still personally don't believe he is good enough to be a Premier League manager. He struggled at Watford at times, he struggled at Everton, and I think he'll struggle with his Fulham side and get them relegated in 19th place. Now on to 18th place. Now I know it'll sound like a cop-out, but I do believe it will be Nottingham Forest, and I feel bad saying these three Championship sides who all got promoted are going to get relegated straight back down, but I just don't think Nottingham Forest have the firepower. And as I keep going back to the point of, I don't think the Championship was a great standard last year compared to years before, and I feel really bad saying it, but Steve Cooper's men, they had a great season when he came in. The form changed. They were so good. But I just worry for them. I don't think they've got the firepower and a good enough squad to stay up in this league. I do think they'll carry some momentum. They'll get off to a good start to the season, because you see that with a lot of teams when they come up through the playoffs. They carry that momentum to the start of the season, but I don't think they can withstand that throughout the season. So unless they make some signings, I do believe Nottingham Forest 18th place. Now on to 17th place. I do believe in the second season syndrome, and I do think it will be Brentford. And yes, Thomas Frank did a wonderful job last season, absolutely amazing, but I do think a lot of that was down to Christian Eriksen. You saw before that the form was absolutely dreadful. Christian Eriksen carried them throughout the second half of the season. Don't get me wrong, fair play to them, it was a great season. They really overachieved, but I think without Christian Eriksen next season, we will see the kind of similar form to that they showed towards the time just before he came, when I think it was 7 or 8 games without a win. So 17th place, I do think Brentford will stay up, but just by the skin of their teeth. 16th place now is a team that has been flirting with relegation for season on season now. Inconsistency throughout every season, winning 10, 15 games, going towards Europa League, and then all of a sudden getting beaten 9-0 and then falling down the table. Yes, it is Southampton, and I do believe Hasenhüttl's men are only going to stay up with how poor the sides that are coming up next season. I think that is the only reason why they'll stay up, because I keep going back to it, it's goals. It simply is goals. They haven't got a natural born goal scorer. And not only that, with Broja going back to Chelsea and potentially going elsewhere, Southampton are going to really miss him, and they need that focal point. So they need to sign some players, and they need to sign them fast, because I do worry for Southampton. They're going to be in and around that relegation zone for definite. But for me, Southampton, 16th place. Now on to 15th place, I believe will be Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I know a lot of people go, what on earth are you on about? They showed relegation form towards the end of the season. They were really poor. But not only that, potentially Ruben Neves out the door, Martino getting older, Jimenez not being on the level that he once was before the injury. Fabio Silva, the man who should be replacing him, didn't score a single goal in the Premier League last season. And I think it just shows you the lack of creativity, that lack of spark. And you saw in that second half of the season how poor they were. It was absolutely dreadful towards the end of the season. And people were questioning whether Bruno Lage is the right man for the job. There's going to be a lot of question marks with him next season. And I do worry for the Wolves. I do think they are really underestimating how difficult next season will be for them. And not only that, they can't spend any money. They have to sell players before they buy. So all in all, I really worry for Wolves. 15th place. 14th place now, I believe, will be Frank Lampard's men, Everton. And yes, they stayed up. Frank Lampard did a great job. But when you actually look at the squad, man for man, I don't think Everton's squad is all that good. So they need to make some signings. But obviously, everything going on with ownership and stuff like that, we don't really need to delve into that in this time of video. But they can't sign players. The only way they're going to be buying players is if they sell their talisman in Richarlison. And they can't do that because if he goes, they lose all their goals. So I do worry for Everton next season. Squad simply isn't good enough, but 14th place. Now on to 13th place. Now this will surprise a lot of people. I do believe will be Aston Villa. And the reason for that is Steven Gerrard, yes, he did a good job when he came in. But again, it's inconsistent every single year on year on year. And the problem is with Aston Villa, there is no consistency with the squad. And when I say consistency with the squad, not even in performance, the fact that they don't get the top half of the table finished is exactly what they want. So they go and sign loads and loads of players. And they've done that already. They've signed Diego Carlos. They've signed Kamara. They've signed a few youngsters. The squad will change and it just takes time to gel. That is the problem. They keep throwing cash at this side. Just stand back and let the team play. Try and find a system, because I do worry with Steven Gerrard. Towards the end of the season, he kept changing formation and styles of play. I'm not sure whether Steven Gerrard still knows yet the right style of play and the right formation for that squad. And that is a worrying thing for Aston Villa. So I don't think they're going to make top half of the table. I don't think they're going to be worried about relegation, but I do feel they're going to finish 13th in the league. Now on to 12th place, I believe will be Leeds United. And this may be me being absolutely ludicrous, but at the moment they're signing quite a few players, and Jesse Marsch, when he came in, he did a great job keeping Leeds up, because to be honest, a lot of people said there was absolutely no chance, me included, myself included. And not only that, they've signed new players because there was worries with Leeds. They needed investment. The squad simply wasn't good enough, but they've already made 3 or 4 signings, and it looks like they're going to be making more. So I do believe, even though I've just said with Aston Villa they sign all these new players, it doesn't gel, I just have a feeling with this togetherness with Jesse Marsch, he's signing players that he has used and has had in the past, and I think it may work out for them. So I think Leeds are going to finish 12th in the league. Yes, I know, it feels mental saying that. 11th in the league now, I believe, will be Brighton and Hove Albion. Yes, last season Graham Potter did absolute wonders with that squad, but it goes back to the same point again. They need to invest, because he's simply overachieving with that team. The investment isn't there. He needs more money thrown at that squad. He needs new players, needs some fresh faces to add to this beautiful way of playing. But I do really like Brighton. I wish them all the best next season. And I think maybe they'll be knocking potentially just outside of that top half, but they can potentially break in, but 11th place for Brighton. Now 10th place, the Brighton rivals, I believe, will be Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira did an absolutely amazing job, and you saw what he did with just 2 transfer windows. He changed the entire squad, changed the entire philosophy of football. A lot of people say, oh, he didn't do as well as everyone thinks. I think he should have been up there with Manager of the Year. Honestly, I think the job he did there, the way he changed everything about that club is absolutely amazing, and it should be used as a blueprint for other squads if they want to change the top-down structure of a squad. And I think next season is going to be really interesting, because they're going to be able to buy more players, add more, and the players are going to still now understand the philosophy and style of play even more, and maybe build on such a great last season. So for me, Crystal Palace, 10th in the league. 9th place now will be West Ham, in my opinion, and I do believe West Ham are going to struggle next season, just purely with the fact that the squad is still not got depth. That's what they're crying out for. They need to make more signings. Yes, they made 1 signing, but I think they need 4 or 5 potentially, because if they're going to be playing in Europa Conference League, it is so difficult travelling around on Thursday nights with a small squad. Because when you looked in their Europa League run, the reason why they fell off towards the end of the season is because they were all so tired. Players playing week in, week out, twice a week throughout a season, it is not sustainable. So they do really need to look into that. So West Ham signed some players, but I still do think you're going to have a good season in 9th place. 8th place now is Newcastle, in my opinion, and with Nick Pope, as I'm recording, having his medical, it's looking good for Newcastle. They're building on such a great second half of the season when Eddie Howe came in. The philosophy changed, the structure changes, the buzz with the stadium. The fans are happy. Everyone seems happy, and it just seems weird to see that in my lifetime, because I've only ever seen unrest with the fans, a disjointed fan base, disjointed club. It's just great to see everything going so well for Newcastle. A great club, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see now with this summer what they kind of do, what signings they make, especially with somebody like Dan Ashworth at the top down, because he's a great scout. He knows the kind of players that should be going for, and they won't mess about. They'll get their players in, and I think they're going to build on something next season. So I do believe 8th place for Newcastle, just about missing out on that Europa Conference League. 7th place now, I believe, will be Leicester City, and I think last season they didn't have the greatest of seasons. I think it was tarnished because of that Europa League and the Europa Conference League run that they did go on. So I do think next season it'll be interesting to see, when the players aren't playing so much, will they flourish more, Or will they players go elsewhere because they want European football? Because they've got some really, really good players in that squad. So it's going to be interesting to see how Brendan Rodgers does. But I do believe 7th place for Leicester City. 6th place now, Erik ten Hag's men, Manchester United. I still haven't seen any transfer business, which is crazy to think because I thought they were going to really back him. They've signed no one so far. It's not looking good for Man United. Still unrest. Still seems so disjointed, top down. It's a very, very toxic club. Things need to change. It's going to take time. So I do believe Man United are going to finish 6th, and I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the top 5 personally. I think the gap is going to be mad, and I think they're going to be closer towards the likes of West Ham, Newcastle, Palace and clubs, and Leicester and clubs like that. Now on to 5th, I do believe will be Arsenal. I think the reason for that, I understand a lot of people say, no, Arsenal can break into the top 4. They just fell off towards the end of the season, but I think that inexperience, the naivety with the squad, I think is going to really, really hurt them next season, because I think it's going to be similar to this season. They're going to show form, but not only that, they've now got European football to add to their calendar. The squad isn't deep enough. When you look at certain positions, simply left back, when Kieran Tierney's gone, Tavares is there, and he's not good enough to be in that top half of the table. So I do think Arsenal are going to struggle and finish 5th in the league next season. Now to 4th place, I think will be Chelsea. I think Chelsea need to add to this squad. I know they've got rid of Lukaku, but now who's going to be their goal scorer? Who is their talisman? I don't know. So Chelsea, for me, it's not looking good for them. They need to make some signings fast, and not only that, they've lost hundreds of centre-backs, it feels like. Everything, yes, new ownership, but they need to make some business fast, because the other clubs now, when you look at the next 3 clubs, are all pushing on and making steps further and further away. So Chelsea really need to step up and do some business. So Chelsea, for me, 4th place. Now 3rd place, in my opinion, will be Antonio Conte's men, Tottenham Hotspur. Antonio Conte knows exactly what he's doing. A great manager who can push on with Tottenham. And not only that, they're adding players. They're signing players. Perisic, a great signing. Basuma, a great signing. Kulusevski again next season. It's looking like a really nice squad. Things are building with Tottenham, and I think this momentum they're going to carry through, because you saw in that second half of the season when Antonio Conte could drill his men, they were unstoppable. So next season, Tottenham, for me, going to finish 3rd. Big things to come from there. Now, 2nd place, I think, will be Liverpool. And yes, a lot of people saying Darwin Núñez, is he going to take them next level? Who knows? But the fact that they've lost Mane, I think, is the nail in the coffin. Now, Sadio Mane, one of the most underrated Premier League wingers of all time, in my opinion. I thought he had a really good season last night, and he really helped them push on, and they still couldn't do it with him in the side. So without him, I think they're going to really, really struggle. When I say struggle, I mean struggle to get that top spot, struggle to catch up with Man City. So for me, Liverpool, they're going to have to sign many, many players if they're really going to push on and compete with Man City, because that squad is just so strong. So Liverpool, 2nd place. And obviously now you've just realised who I've said are going to be top. It's Man City. There's not much to say. The squad depth, everything that. Not only that, they've added Haaland to that squad. So there's going to be many, many goals. It's going to be interesting to see how he kind of tailors to the Premier League, how long it takes him to get used to it. But big things to come with Man City next season. They could really push on to that next level. I understand Haaland's only been brought in for the Champions League, but he's still going to add and help them with the Premier League. So I think Man City will win the Premier League. But let me know if you've enjoyed this video. I could do some early predictions for maybe the Scottish League, the Championship, League 1, League 2. Let me know if you want to see it. Smash the like button and do subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. But thanks for watching. Bucket Sam, over and out. Thank you. Goodbye.